Keanu Reeves discreetly entered a luxurious watch store, wearing a simple gray shirt, faded jeans, and a worn-out cap, trying to go unnoticed. The judgmental glances came quickly, but he remained calm. What he would do next would leave everyone in the store in shock, especially the employee who dared to underestimate him. In the heart of the city, the Aram store stood as a temple of luxury. Its name, derived from the Latin word for gold, perfectly embodied its essence, offering the most exclusive, valuable, and unattainable items. This wasn't merely a commercial space. It was a symbol of status. Even the entrance, with pristine glass doors and golden accents, made anyone hesitate, as if only the chosen few were worthy of stepping inside. The interior didn't disappoint. Marble floors reflected meticulously lit showcases. Majestic watches rested on velvet cushions, each piece appearing more unattainable than the last. Elegantly dressed staff in tailored suits moved silently, ready to serve, but only those they deemed worthy of their time. It was into this environment that Keanu stepped. He seemed anything but deserving of the space, yet he hesitated not, walking slowly, hands in his pockets. His eyes calmly scanned the showcases. He stopped in front of a main display where a gleaming watch, encased in diamonds, caught his attention. Its price was discreet but clear enough to separate the curious from the true buyers. One of the staff noticed him, tall, slim, and clad in a suit that likely cost more than a car. He walked toward Keanu with calculated steps. His eyes swept over the customer from head to toe, and he suppressed a smirk. "Can I help you?" he said, his tone neutral, but a slightly arched brow betrayed his condescension. Keanu looked at him calmly and pointed at the most expensive watch in the display. "I'd like to know more about this watch," he said, his voice calm yet direct. The employee blinked, as if he hadn't understood. "This one?" he asked, leaning slightly to confirm Keanu was indeed pointing at the priciest model. "That watch costs, well, more than most people can imagine." "I know. I want more details," Kay replied, unbothered. The employee crossed his arms, allowing a faint, mocking smile to surface. "Well, I'm not sure it's exactly the type of piece you would be looking for," he said, pausing deliberately. "Perhaps I can show you something more accessible." The disdain was unmistakable. Keanu didn't respond immediately, keeping his gaze fixed on the watch. The employee sighed, as if dealing with a stubborn child. "This model, specifically, is a limited edition, very exclusive, an investment, really, the kind of thing that appeals to a select clientele," he said, flashing a forced smile. "But of course, there are other options, something more fitting." Keanu finally looked at the employee. "I just want to know about the watch. Can you explain it to me?" he said, his tone as serene as ever. The employee chuckled lightly, shaking his head, not bothering to hide his sarcasm. "Sure, sir. It's made of 18-karat white gold with diamond inlays, fully automatic, designed by one of Switzerland's finest watchmakers. Only 5 in the world, a true classic, and priced about the same as a small apartment. Would you like to know more?" Keanu remained calm, unaffected by the sarcasm. "Well, as I said, perhaps it's better to look at something more in line with your profile." Keanu turned back to the watch, seemingly ignoring the employee's hostile tone entirely. However, there was something in his posture, a calmness so absolute it felt out of place. He was no ordinary customer, but this went unnoticed by the employee. Breaking the silence, Keanu spoke again. "I'm not interested in other options. I want more details about this watch." His persistence made the employee lose patience. He chuckled, this time not bothering to conceal his disdain. "Look, let me be honest with you. This watch isn't for everyone. It's for people who can afford it. Do you understand what I'm saying?" Keanu stared at him for a few seconds. His expression remained unchanged, but there was something in his eyes that made the employee briefly uncomfortable. Keanu took a step back, adjusted his cap, and let out a deep breath. His voice, when he spoke again, was as calm as before, but now carried a firmness no one expected. "I want to know more about this model." The simplicity of the statement, spoken with such conviction, made the employee hesitate. Silence lingered for a moment. Little did the employee know, everything was about to change. The employee crossed his arms with a sarcastic smile. "This watch?" he asked, pointing dismissively at the piece. "Well, let's be honest, it costs more than most people earn in years. Are you sure you want to keep insisting?" Keanu remained calm. "I'd like to know more about it, that's all." The employee sighed dramatically. "All right, sir, let me save you some time and mine. This is an exclusive model, limited edition, white gold, diamonds, and a Swiss automatic mechanism," he said, looking at Keanu with disdain. "Anything else you'd like to know?" Keanu didn't flinch. "Could you show me how it works?" The employee laughed in disbelief. "Show you how it works? Really? This isn't the kind of watch you just try on. It's a collector's piece, meant for someone who understands what they are holding. I just want to see how it works." "Didn't you say it's automatic?" Keanu asked, his tone firm but still polite. The employee narrowed his eyes, now visibly annoyed. "Look, so, no offense, but this kind of watch isn't for just anyone. Do you even realize how much it costs? Or are you just curious?" Keanu lifted his gaze, locking eyes with the employee. "I don't think the price is relevant right now. I'm asking to see the watch." The employee let out a short laugh. "Sure, price isn't relevant. Well, just in case, let me inform you, it's $300,000. Got that? 300,000. He emphasized each word. Keanu kept his gaze steady, unbothered. "All right, now can you show me the watch? Or are you going to keep explaining things I didn't ask?" The employee took a step back, crossing his arms with a mocking smile. "You know what I think? I think you're in the wrong place. Because Aram isn't a store for the curious. People who just want to look dream here. We deal with serious buyers." Keanu narrowed his eyes slightly. "And what makes you think I'm not a serious buyer?" "Well, with all due respect," the employee smiled, "let's just say you don't have the typical profile." Keanu remained composed. "And what is the typical profile?" he asked. The employee shrugged. "Oh, you know, someone who fits the environment, someone who looks like they belong, someone who doesn't waste others' time." Keanu took a deep breath. "Interesting. So, by your logic, appearance is what defines a serious customer." "It's not just appearance, sir. It's reality," the employee said, smiling. "Let's be honest. You don't look like you're here to buy anything. That's a fact, not an opinion." Keanu stayed silent for a moment. "It seems you measure value by what you see on the surface. That's sad." The remark briefly wiped the smile from the employee's face. "What's sad is wasting time with someone who has no intention of buying." Keanu stepped back. "Got it. It seems I'm not welcome here. Thank you for your service." "It was my pleasure," the employee replied with a satisfied grin. "Come back anytime. Maybe next time something might fit your budget." Keanu turned to leave, walking calmly toward the door. The employee crossed his arms, a satisfied smirk on his face, thinking he had won. But then, a low, surprised voice broke the silence. "Wait," said a customer near the counter, frowning. "Is that? It can't be. It's him. That's Keanu Reeves." The name was spoken with such incredulity that it immediately grabbed everyone's attention. The employee froze. "Keanu Reeves," he murmured in shock. The customer approached the employee, pointing at Keanu, who was now near the exit. "Yes, it's him. The actor. Didn't you recognize him? He's world famous," the customer said. "How could you not know who he is?" The employee's stomach churned. He glanced at the manager, who had approached, his face clearly concerned. "Is this serious?" the employee asked, now pale. "Is really Keanu Reeves?" The manager nodded, disappointed. "Of course he is. And you treated him like that? He's known as one of the kindest and most humble men in the world. You just made a monumental mistake." The employee dashed toward the door. Keanu was about to leave when he heard hurried footsteps. The employee caught up, nearly tripping. "Mr. Reeves, wait, please," he said, his voice trembling. Keanu stopped and turned slowly. "Now you're calling me, sir?" Keanu asked, his voice calm yet firm. The employee was speechless, catching his breath. I'm so sorry. I had no idea who you were." I deeply apologize for my behavior. It was unacceptable. Keanu raised an eyebrow. You need to know who I am to treat people with respect. Is that how it works? The employee turned red. No, of course not, sir. It's just that I was wrong. I'm truly sorry. Keanu gave a faint smile, but it was more a smile of disappointment. This isn't about me. It's about you. Your attitude says more about who you are than any watch you could ever sell. The employee lowered his head, ashamed, as the manager approached. Mr. Reeves, I deeply apologize for what happened. I assure you this doesn't reflect our store's standards. Please, allow us to make it up to you, the manager said. Keanu glanced at them. I don't need anything from you. I just wanted to see the watch, and you decided I wasn't worthy of that. He turned to the employee. Maybe this is a lesson for you. Learn to treat people as they deserve, not as you think they should be. Keanu turned toward the door but paused one last time. The problem isn't me. It's who you've chosen to become. Good luck with that. And with that, Keanu left, leaving the store in silence. The employee stood frozen. The manager sighed. I hope it was worth it, because you just put our reputation on the line. The employee felt the weight of his actions. The atmosphere inside Aram felt heavy. Every word Keanu had spoken echoed in his mind. The manager turned to him. Do you have any idea what you've done? Keanu Reeves, one of the most respected men in the world, walked in here, and you treated him like he was nobody. You embarrassed our store and yourself. The employee shook his head. I didn't know it was him. He looked so simple. That's no excuse. It doesn't matter who he was. You're supposed to treat every customer with respect, the manager said, his voice rising. What do you think happens now? He's an influential figure, and he was humiliated here. The employee stood frozen, feeling small. I judged him by his appearance, he thought. Why hadn't I realized it sooner? At the end of the shift, the manager called him into his office. I'm not going to sugarcoat this. You made a mistake that could cost this store dearly. The message you sent today is that we only respect people who look wealthy. That goes against everything we're trying to build here. The employee nodded. I'll reflect on it. I promise. Reflect quickly, the manager said. This story isn't over yet. In a modest neighborhood, far from Aram, Keanu walked into a small watch shop called Time and Value. The space was simple yet inviting. An elderly salesperson with gray hair and round glasses greeted him warmly. Good afternoon. How can I help you today? He asked. Keanu smiled. I'm looking for something special, something meaningful. The salesperson nodded. Then you've come to the right place. The most expensive watch isn't always the one with the best story. He pulled out a small pocket watch with a classic design, simple yet charming. He opened it, revealing an engraving in Latin. Tempus fugit, amor manet. Time flies, but love remains. This one is special, he explained. It was made to remind us that what matters in life are the moments, not the possessions. Keanu held it. This is exactly what I was looking for, he said with a smile. Back at Aram, the manager held a note left by Keanu. Respect is the true luxury. It doesn't matter what you sell, but how you choose to treat people. Maybe it's time to rethink what you value. The silence was deafening. Every word struck the employee. He avoided his colleague's eyes, ashamed. This store thrives on reputation, the manager said. Today, that reputation was tarnished by a lack of respect. I expect you to rethink what it means to serve a customer. The employee nodded. Yes, sir, understood. Days later, the story spread. Blogs and social media buzzed about Keanu Reeves' interaction at the luxury store and his humility. It enhanced his reputation as one of the most admired celebrities. At Time and Value, the salesperson saw the pocket watch he sold Keanu in a news segment. He smiled as Keanu said, This watch reminded me that the value of things isn't in their price, but in their meaning. Every time I look at it, I think about how important it is to treat people with respect, no matter where they come from or how they appear. That's the kind of wealth no one can take away from you. Months later, the employee was on a different path. He left Aram and found a job at a smaller store. Now, he treated every customer with respect. One day, a customer walked in, dressed in simple clothes. He greeted him with a genuine smile. "Welcome. How can I help you today?" He didn't know who the customer was, but that didn't matter. He had finally understood that true luxury lies in how you choose to treat others. The message inspired thousands, but its impact was profound on the store that rejected Keanu.